Hello everyone and welcome back to the Nullified Tech channel here on YouTube, where we've got the TNT takes for you on reality TV Squid Game. Except this is no ordinary TNT takes we've got going on here. It is the Mucky take, baby, the TM take. I'm your host, Mucky Hope, and today I'm joined by two very special guests. I'll start off with the beautiful man to my right. What a journey it's been, Mad Dog Kahuna. You hosted Million Dollar Island, and I felt how relationship grew ever so closer going through that. You've always been the 2IC, I guess you can say, to the Nullified Take. But now I've overstepped you. Now I'm the host of this podcast, Kahuna. But ladies and gents, please welcome our favorite Kahuna. Whoa! How's it going,
Oh, how the turntables. It does feel a little bit weird. I am used to, like, I play second seat to Chris all the time on the Nullified Take, but our relationship has been where, Million Dollar Island, I was the host. Now I'm happy to be on the Mucky, right? Hey, Mucky, just for old time's sake, you want me to throw you your old intro from the Million Dollar Island?
Oh, yes, please.
All right, everybody. Well, how did I do it again? It was a full production. I remember saying, high above the Mucky Muck, the Great White Hope, Mucky, Mucky, Mucky.
Actually, I will be perfectly honest with you, Kahuna. I've been rewatching some of our Million Dollar Island podcasts. I'm willing to say this on this podcast. The Million Dollar Island podcast I did with you was the most fun I've had podcasting. You are such a legend, mate.
I'm glad. I had fun as well, and I'm glad to be playing not host on this one. I want to be on the Mucky ride. I know how loose you got when I was hosting, and I want to see. And I know that there's the Traders NZ and the Traders Canada, and all you're doing an amazing job hosting yourself in your own right. You're becoming a man, Mucky, and I'm proud of you, man. I'm proud of you. So I'm really happy to be along for the Mucky ride and see how weird and wild this gets with a show like Squid Game and a host like Mucky. Our viewers are in for a combination here, I'm sure.
You are so right about that, Kahuna. But let's not forget, we're joined by another very special, beautiful guest. She is a co-host of mine on Survivor UK and on The Amazing Race Australia. It is the wonderful, amazing V. V, how are you?
Where's my song? Is all I'm gonna say. Where's my song? I'll just be here while you guys have your love in, and I'll wait till you're finished, and then I'll just pop in.
We'll have to. I
think start working on that song, mate.
Yeah, I think next week I'll have an intro song for V. What rhymes with V?
Can't wait. Oh, anything.
V. It's the VG.
Do better. Okay.
We're
not an improviser. Not a freestyler.
Which is funny because I was a coach of improvised acting at school.
That does not surprise me.
But, improv coaching aside, we're here to talk about reality TV Squid Games. And Kahuna, you know that this whole entire year, I've been telling you and Chris, we got to do Squid Games. We got to do Squid Game.
Squid Game.
We're finally doing it. How do you feel now that reality TV Squid Games is just around the corner?
It's weird because Mucky tells the truth. He has been harassing Chris for 12 months, since it was announced that this was going to be a thing. Chris has been hearing about Squid Game. And in my head, I was just always, it's in the future. It's down the road. Yeah, Squid Game. And now it's here. It's weirding me out. And it came quick. I'm excited for it. I am annoyed at one thing, though. Yeah. Because I also am on a podcast with Chris for a television show called The Challenge. This show, you're calling it reality TV Squid Game? Yeah. Have you seen what the actual title is?
Oh, yeah. It's Squid Game The Challenge.
The Challenge. Squid Game The Challenge. Like, what is that?
Yeah,
I'm
I
sure
know.
like
Slipping some
MTV's like,
IP in there.
yeah.
On
I don't know
top
if
of the
MTV's
IP
pleased or
already.
not. People start watching the MTV version. They're like, what's this?
Well,
This is a rip
maybe.
off of Squid Game.
Well, maybe because the cast hasn't been officially announced. Maybe all 456 contestants are just all 456 contestants from the challenge. You have your CTs, your bananas, your
Yeah, that'd
Michelles.
be awesome.
Yeah,
I mean, they'd probably be really good at this show, to be honest with you.
yeah, it would be like, even though I've never seen the challenge, I would love to see that. Just everyone who's ever played in one show, just all compete together
All
in a
together.
completely different show. Like, can you imagine if all 40 seasons of
456.
American Survivor
Yeah, it's a lot.
did that?
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot
But
of
yeah,
people.
That'd be awesome.
but Kahuna, with Million Dollar Island, there was 100 people, and throughout
Biggest
the
show
season-
ever. It's
Yeah, it was
huge.
the biggest show ever.
We couldn't even pay attention to all the casts. It was just too many to really
Yeah.
get the edit. How do you think they're gonna go
Yeah,
with
this-
456 people? When we have a show like Survivor or like The Amazing Race or whatever, and there's 18, 24 people, and you're like,
Mm.
I don't even remember them being on it because they were,
Yeah.
kicked out in the second episode. You're like, who was that guy again? I don't remember that person. Oh yeah, that person was on it 6 months ago, or whatever, when it first started, and I'm now on episode 24. I don't know what's gonna happen. 456 people. Like, what's the edit gonna be? It's all purple edits.
It will be all purple. I mean, they could do something similar to what they did to the actual Korean show, which I know V, you haven't seen
Ooh.
all of Squid Game. So we'll make sure that there's completely spoiler free. And we'd love to hear your takes of the show
Oh, sure.
in the future. But perhaps Kahuna, something that was kind of shown throughout the Korean Squid Game was you had your 8 or 9 or even 10 main characters, and we always saw their perspectives and what they were doing throughout the whole show. Do you think they could do something similar here with this reality TV Squid Game?
I mean, I think if they want to make a plausible, not plausible, but a good narrative and make a TV show that will actually people can care about the characters and invest in, and which is what we did on a scripted show, is that they write it so that you care about these 8 to 10 main characters. And we've seen a lot of the times, like, again, we're going back to the example just because of the massive cast, Million Dollar Island. There was a lot of people we had no idea who they were they even on camera. We had Volt get 0 camera time, stuff like that. But I don't even know where I was going. I threw myself off with the Volt reference, just taking myself back. But where was I going with it? I totally lost myself. I'm getting old, guys.
Will we see everyone on camera?
Yeah, like that. That's. I mean, I don't think we can. But as far as having the main characters on Million Dollar Island, that's where I'm going. On Million Dollar Island, they did do that. We got to know very well certain specific characters because at the end of the season, they knew who was going to play an important part in the edit, and then should play an important part in the edit, and they edited around that, right? There are people that were going to do nothing, say nothing, make no impact, and then just disappear from the show because they either quit or they get eliminated, whatever the case is. And if they don't really have a big enough story on the show, then it's hard to put in the show as well. And that's the problem with reality shows, that you're dictated by the contestants. And if you have a superstar like a King George, you make the whole show around him. But then you also get, when you've got 400 people in there, you're going to have the percentages say there will be a good number of people that are awesome on TV and awesome on camera. But there's going to be a hell of a lot of people that are really bad as well. Because one of the things about this show, which I'm super fascinated in, is that they cast globally. Like, it's 456 people, but it's from all around the world. It's not just going to be full of Americans and annoy the crap out of you.
Yeah.
We're going to get a vast array of different contestants, which I'm fascinated to see, not only from the way they approach a reality show, like a competition reality show. Is the strategy going to be all there, that sort of thing? But as far as communication goes, how they interact with people culturally, all that sort of thing, it's going to be super fascinating, because with the actual scripted show, A Squid Game, I mean, it was pretty much, mono ethnic. Like it's
Yeah.
all Koreans except for the Indian dude.
Yeah, the one
But
ending guy.
the one Indian dude in South Korea. But yeah, like I don't know how that's gonna sort of play out in that regard. What do you reckon?
I think, well, because I was originally thinking, what if they edit the episodes similar to Million Dollar Island, where they only focus on the contestants who are
For that episode.
who are going to get eliminated? But then I realized probably like 400 of them are going to get taken out.
At one
Red
time.
light, green light, right? So it's yeah. So it's going to be very interesting how they try to edit the contestants. I think we will be getting our main characters like our Sabyok, Sung Gyeons, and Sung Woos, and we're going to watch their story throughout
See,
the
how
whole.
do they pick that though? I mean, one of them would have
Yeah.
to be the winner. Like
Absolutely.
episode 1, we'll get the winner. We'll know them throughout the season. I don't think they're going to surprise us at the end of the season with it. But if that becomes the main character, the winner, and we follow them throughout the whole thing, then I think it might be a bit obvious. So they might they'll need to kind of throw some red herrings and give us a few characters to root for and get behind without making it really clear as to who, if there's a guy that goes on, and you watched how much of the first episode?
30 minutes. They've just arrived at Squid Game.
Okay, good. So if there's a dude that rocks up that has really crazy debts and he's trying to get in the good books with his daughter and all that sort of thing, then maybe that might be that dude.
Well, so V, I know that you're a bit of a nerdy person like myself. I love the Hunger Games, right? And those sort of future dystopian worlds, right? And something I find really interesting about Squid Games is that it's like it's almost like an evolved situation from the Hunger Games, where the Hunger Games, you're forced to do it, you're forced to kill everyone, you're randomly chosen. But what's so interesting about Squid Games is that you choose to go and do it. These people, their lives are so shit, so terrible at home. They'd rather die to just some random game than just spend another day back in the everyday situation. But the thing about this reality TV version of it is that they've taken that element out, because I loved the idea of what are really desperate people willing to do, not only to live, but to get a good chunk of money. But now it's just, hey, here's a bunch of people who enjoyed watching the TV show around the world. What are they willing to do for $4 million? What do you think of that sort of massive change?
Well, just that point right there. Call me naive, but $4 million. Does that not?
It's the biggest prize in reality TV show history.
Yeah.
Biggest cast
That's what
and
I
the biggest
thought.
prize in any show.
Because that's proper money. That's not your $100,000 for your charity kind of money. Like that's $4 million is proper money. So that when that came up, I was like, what? Sorry, what was the question again? I got distracted by the money side of it.
It was mostly about the casting. So in the Korean version, you had really desperate people who would have done anything to just get out of their lives. So they'd much rather die at a random game than to spend another second doing their part of their everyday life.
I feel that's a fairly common trope across the ages in books and film as well. And so, I think that's really where the competition sort of genre comes from. What will people do for the money? But look, it's a lot of money, and I'm sure no one's going to die, but it also looks fairly brutal, just the clips I've seen. But it'll be interesting to see how it plays out with that huge a cast. But I do believe that in casting, there would be people already, before they even filmed, that they would have their eye on and go, there's a lot of filler, but there's a lot of people who have some interesting stories that we're going to follow along, because it will be interesting when they're out, maybe first episode, or if they win. So if I'm putting myself in an executive producer's shoes, I would go, okay, you've got these 10 people, maybe 20 people who are really fascinating people who won't let us down. And we can weave a story with these characters that we have decided that they are. And then let's just do a blanket casting call for people who are keen. And if we get some gold out of that, fantastic. Yeah. But if we don't, also, like, they're gone. Yeah. So I think there'd be sort of more manipulation than maybe appears.
Yeah.
I'm just going to leave for a second so I can see if I can reset my camera.
You're the pulsating dot again.
Okay.
And I'll come back. I don't know what's going on, but I'll come back in. Hang on.
All right. Sounds good. Sounds good.
Should we wait? Should we pause?
Oh, no. It can keep going. It's all good.
Okay.
So, I guess this raises a really good question. So, when you're trying to find your 10 or so people that are really, really interesting, if you're a casting producer, do you cast your everyday normal people around the world, or do you try throw in a few celebrities or well-known players from other reality shows into the mix as well?
Well, I feel like it probably would have been released if there was anyone really of note in the cast, but there are some fascinating people out there, and the most fascinating people apply for reality TV shows.
Yeah.
So, they are your extroverts. They are your talkers. It's interesting how you can have, just from the experience I've had in casting before, you have a really interesting group of people in the room. Mm-hmm. You get them in front of the camera and they've got nothing to say. So it's the people, it's actually kind of a gift to be able to be sure enough of yourself, come from the room, come in front of a camera and still have so much to say to just a camera. And so I think you can see from the get-go, this person's a crier and they really love their family. They're doing it for their family. So we'll go on that angle and try and get those conversations and capture those moments. And then you've got someone who's brutal, doing it for themselves, happy for everyone to hate them. Let's go with that. And so you can sort of start to map out where you'd like things to go. And then there'd be just a whole bunch of people that just signed up, could string two words together and maybe looked good and, trying to get some ages. I would like to see in 456 people some ethnic diversity, some age diversity, gender diversity, all of it, because I think that's what we're really starved for in a lot of TV shows.
Oh, absolutely. It's like something that's been great about American Survivor is their 50, I believe it's 50% or even like a bit more, I think now, of of POC, people of color, and they've really made an effort to get more people of different sexualities on the show as well, so that we have more of these different stories. But in saying that, though, my personal problem with American Survivor is that everyone is like a game bot strategist, right? Where some people 3D print challenges at home, whatnot. They've got their own challenges they practice on. Like there was one season, and I was really frustrated with this person where I think it was Owen in season 43. This isn't any hate to Owen. It's just how I personally feel. But he said at one point that he statistically does not have a chance to win because he's voted incorrectly X amount of times, he's voted correctly Y amount of times. And in my opinion, it's like, who cares? Like, it's a game. Who cares? You're in it till you're not, right? And
I think the human element is so important. The human element.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So it's kind of, while there's so much diversity there, there's not a lot of diversity in thought, if that makes sense. And that's something I'm excited to see with 456 people, because we definitely saw it with $1 Million Island. There was so many different personalities. Even the Vault, who famously got no screen time, came onto our podcast in the comment section, and he had a great personality. He was loud. He was out there. He definitely could have been like the George of the season. That's how loud and sort of out there he was. But we never got to see that, unfortunately, because he wasn't really part of the main story. So I really hope that we do get to see a lot of great personalities out there.
Yeah, and like you said, diversity in strategy. I imagine because it seems like such an immersive experience, maybe more so than shows that, because it's coming from a scripted show, some may be there just to be immersed in that environment, and win or lose, it doesn't really matter. They just are a fan of the show, a fan of the writing, and they want to live that experience for a little while, like the people that do the Star Wars experiences and things like that.
Yeah.
So, I think you're right. And I think perhaps it's Australian reality TV has a lot to answer for in terms of diversity. And I think, while this is an Australian show, it's everywhere I'm sort of looking for that diversity. And it's really lovely when shows really do make that commitment.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, no, you're absolutely right, Jen. I mean, they make the commitment to more diversity in terms of thought, in terms of people, in terms of gender and sexualities. It's so much more interesting to watch because you have all these different stories that you learn about, and you start to love them because of their story. And because something about the Korean show is that, I mean, everyone's stories are so different and they're all so sad. So you feel sorry for everyone. But like as time goes on, like obviously I won't say anything, but things do get very nitty gritty. There's a lot of strategy that heavily plays involved as well, because you're not just thinking, how am I going to reach the end? It's like, can I even, like if I had to kill someone, could I even potentially kill this person? Right. And so I wonder, like, do you think any of that sort of strategy, not that, anyone's going to die on the show, but do you think any of that kind of strategy might come in terms of, like, I don't think I can beat this person.
Sorry.
As long as we'll
just pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Yeah. So
and the dog as well. Yeah. Well, I think it'd be interesting if this show allows people to be a little bit more brutal than, I haven't watched $1 Million Island or anything like that, or The Challenge, but, out of Survivor and Big Brother and things like that, there isn't really the opportunity to go, you're out, and you're out, and so I wonder, I think that would be confronting, especially when you talk about $4 million to be put in the position to directly eliminate someone, which I feel like the trailer kind of alludes to, that would be an opportunity for a player.
Yeah.
If that's what happens in the scripted show, while we're not killing people, it's pretty brutal to ask someone to say, Mucky, you're not in the running for $4 million anymore.
Yeah.
Like that's harsh. That's not killing someone, but that's harsh.
Yeah. And but I guess what's so good about Squid Game is that the whole concept of the show is that it's for outcasts, right? So everyone gets a fair, equal shot. And there's actually a game, it's a piss take version, I should say, but it's still about Squid Game, but it's called Crab Game. And it's available on Steam. It's completely free. It's one of my most favorite games of all times. Me and the boys play it all the time, but something that we've sort of developed. So if we see someone who's really cracked or really good at the game, we try and kill them. So basically there'll be stuff like there's Mocha Death from Above, which is like these massive blocks will fall down, but there's only tiny spaces you can fit into to avoid. We would follow that person to wherever they go, and we just keep punching them out, so then they can't come back.
I hate people like you at gaming. Oh my gosh, I'm having flashbacks.
Look, all I got to say is, you do not want to play any competitive games with me. Even my boys will tell you, I'm in your face. I will rub it in. Like, I'll be like, oh, you suck. I'm the king. Suck on this.
Oh my gosh.
I get
that
very
was
into
you.
it. Yeah, that is me. But when I do really bad, I'm just really quiet. But once I start doing good, it's like, yeah. And you're fucking.
But could you point to someone and say, you're not getting $4 million, you're done? Could you do that?
It really depends who. It really depends who.
Well, a stranger. Could you say that to
Oh,
a stranger?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah?
I don't
Someone-
care. They're a stranger.
And you don't know their story. You just,
Yeah, who
no,
cares?
no 4 million for you.
Yeah.
Oof. I
'Cause,
don't know if I
I mean,
could.
Because that's the thing, they're complete strangers. So why should you care, right? But whereas if it's like, you and me, for example, there'll be, a lot more, I guess, emotion to that because, we've gone to know each other, through this
Yeah.
podcast. And like, oh,
You want to hope so. You'd still do it, though.
Oh,
You'd
I
still
would.
do it.
I would. I've said this to Chris a million times. So if there's ever like a Survivor podcast this season, I'm coming for him. Like I'm coming for him.
Oh, gosh.
Oh gosh, yeah, and that's why we would never play a season together because he would know that I would destroy my own game and trying to take out Chris. But...
That's what's going to happen. You, Tom, and Chris are all going to end up on Survivor Australia all together.
That would be so funny. That would be so funny. Like, can you imagine if like all of us had like applied just randomly without telling each other, and we're all on the beach? We're like. Hang on a minute, you're there. Wait, who's got a podcast about the season? Like,
and it's me going, it's a good show. I don't know. I haven't watched it. I was on my phone.
We've kind of gone a bit off track for Squid Game. So let's talk about some of the games. I believe all of the games are going to be in this reality TV version. Now, in the actual Squid Game, there are 9 episodes and 6 games. There are a couple of episodes where there aren't any games, but it's very like character-based episodes. In my opinion, episode 2, 6, and 8. So for those who may not remember, 6 is marbles and 8 is the build-up to the finale. And episode 2 is also like a very character-based episode. Because something I feel like the Korean show does is that they really explain the main character's stories. You perfectly understand why they have to be in the games, right? And I hope we get something very similar. I hope that, I don't think it's going to happen because based on the titles for all the episodes, it seems like there's going to be like a game every episode, and most likely the episode in general will be centered around that game. I think I'd love like a filler episode where we do just get to know the cast a wee bit better, because once it starts becoming a bit more.
Really?
And, I've always been that type of person. I love. Okay, so this might shock you, V, but I love non-elimination episodes, especially in Australian Survivor. Especially in Australian Survivor, because I love the whole comeback story, like with Nick Idanza. Like in the first season of Australian Survivor, like look at how massive like his story was in the first season, right? And then you had Tara as well, and the whole Tegan versus Benji in the pre-merge season 3. I'm just talking about Kahuna, how I love non-elimination episodes, and I would love if maybe in this version of he's already laughing. He's already laughing. And I would love if maybe for this Netflix show, if they were to have a couple.
He
turned his camera off in frustration. He's like, I can't deal with Mucky and this stupid.
You've got a bigger heart than I thought, Mucky. You'd kill a man for $4 million, but you also want to know their story.
I do. Well, as an audience member, I want to know their stories. And so basically, Kahuna, I'm not sure if you remember all the Squid Game episodes, but my favorite episodes are 2, 6, and 8.
Were they the non-elimination ones?
So 2 and 8 are non-eliminations. Episode 6 is the marbles one, because those are very character-heavy episodes.
Yeah, but people got eliminated.
True, but it's but I feel like we got to know the contestants a lot more on those specific episodes, and I think how they're going to do this Netflix Squid Game is that each episode is going to be centered around a game, because there are 10 episodes, and based on the titles we're getting, it seems like there will be a game each and every episode. So I assume the episode will be edited around
That
the
makes
game.
sense. Yeah.
But I would love if there was like a non-elimination episode where we do get to understand more like different contestants' backstories, why they're there, how the 4 million could potentially help them and whatnot, and maybe even just some like strategy talk as well. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, we'll get that, and we want that to be able to relate to the people and all that sort of thing. But I think you can, if there's only one game per episode as well, like they're not doing a reward challenge and immunity and blah blah blah. It's if they are building it around one game, then I think there's enough room. I think they've got the space to be able to have both. That you can have all the human interaction. You get to know our people. You get to know the contestants. At the same time, not having a non-elimination episode. I should do what Chris always does. Non-elimination episode. There we go. You can. You're the host. You're the host, Mucky. You're
Oh
the
my
host.
god!
Oh my god!
Sorry.
This is exactly what I was telling you, B. You know that Kahuna's a 2IC, then it's Chris, and then there we go. He's
Did
kicked
you just
himself
boot
out.
him? My
No,
I
god!
wanted
he
Mucky
kicked himself
back in
out.
his rightful spot. I put him back.
I'll be
in
the only one doing this by the end of it. I've not even watched the original show. When's the
Oh
squid
my God.
come into it? Or is that the start? I saw that bit.
Yeah. But anyways, Mr. Kahuna, all of the famous games from the Korean show are coming back into this one. You know, quite famously, we've got Red Light, Green Light, the Dogma, you know, like Tug of War, all that sort of stuff is coming back. How do you think that? Because obviously, everyone on the show would have seen Squid Game. Do you think people will be able to potentially American Survivor to be able to plan around the games to try and win?
I mean, there's not a lot of games you can kind of game that you can kind of strategize. Like, it's gonna come down to skill and luck and strategy. Like, I don't know, strategy is not like, what game would there be a lot of where you can pre-plan? And I've watched the season, so I know what to do here. I guess maybe
Marbles?
the technique for the tug of war. You know,
I think that's kind of a fluke, if I've been perfectly honest.
like how. Yeah, we might be spoiling V a little bit for some of the games, but I mean, it's just the games. It's part of the show. Yeah, I don't know. Like, how do you pre-plan which glass bridge
Well,
you
I
fall
think.
through?
Well, I think with certain games you can kind of plan around it. For example, with the Dogma, the biscuit challenge, there's no way in
You
hell.
need to plan to lighter.
Yeah, you need to plan to sneak a lighter in, but also no one's going for the umbrella shape.
But they don't know, though, do they?
Yeah, so in the Korean show, everyone had to line up behind a shape, and that's the cookie they got. Which, if anyone lines up behind the umbrella shape, I mean, what mad lad, right? Like,
Yeah, no.
you must have some
No.
extreme balls to do that. But
No
also,
one's-
like, I guess with how the glass bridge worked, is that originally they had to choose in what order they had to go in by selecting like a high vis. But I think, Kahuna, everyone knows you'd want to be at the back, right?
Do you, though?
Well, I guess it's very 50-50 because
You want to
you'd
be
at
far
the
back enough that you see the path, but you don't want to
Yeah.
be so far back that you potentially might not make the time limit.
True.
Yeah.
But
By the way, just out of curiosity, so we've got Squid Game,
Mhm.
and much like you, Mucky, by the way, I'm going to call you on this, but much like
Okay.
you, I also say Squid Games with multiple because, but it's Squid Game, and it weirds me
It's not
out
Hunger
that
Games.
yeah,
yeah.
it's just Squid Game, but I always say Squid Games, and I can't get my head around that it's Squid Game. But I forget where I was going to go with that again. I just completely got
It's been a
distracted.
night for that.
Holy crap! Lucky you're hosting this, Mucky. Oh yeah. So Squid Game, see, we get the reality show. Have either of you seen the Mr. Beast version?
I've seen clips of it.
Are you familiar with Mr. Beast V?
No, I don't know anything.
Okay, he's a YouTuber, right? So I mean, I don't know why I'm educating people on YouTubers when I'm in my 40s, but I do have small children, which is why. But Mr. Beast is the biggest
Oh,
YouTuber
yeah,
on the
yeah,
planet.
yeah,
He's
yeah,
got over
yeah, yeah,
100
yeah,
million subscribers. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And he, shortly after Squid Game aired, he did his own version of Squid Game, which was cost $4 million to actually put together. He originally was wanting to make it like $1 million, but the budget kept going up because he made it
Yikes.
so precise and tried to make it as close to the show as he could.
Mm.
He didn't have 400 people, I think. Oh, maybe he did actually have 400 people, but he had a massive show and ran
Yeah.
it through, and it was a huge event on YouTube. It was like the biggest video of its
Massive.
time.
Wow.
And it's weird to think one YouTuber who, I mean, he has all the resources in the world, maybe not as much as Netflix, but decided to make it. And then it takes a behemoth like Netflix to kind of compete with an individual YouTube dude. And I'm interested to see how they stack up because Mr. Beast did an amazing job. Like it looked really
Yeah.
phenomenal, really epic sort of set. But I also watched just today a behind the scenes with the creator of Squid Game, and he said that he was consulted and asked a lot of questions for the reality show for the challenge.
Yeah.
And he was on set doing behind the scenes and all that sort of thing, saying they got blueprints for the beds, like they got
Yeah.
everything as spot on as perfect. Like they even walked into one of the challenge rooms. It was the creator director with one of the actors from the original show, and he goes, "This is the exact same size as the
Oh,
room,
wow.
wasn't it?" Yeah, like
That's
they
awesome.
nailed it. Like to the cloud paintings on the wall, to the maze like stairs, and like they just kind of really nailed it. So I'm so looking forward to seeing how you have an amazing TV show that really, except for V, I think she may be the only person on the planet that didn't watch it at the time, that really captivated
Guilty.
the world. Like everyone was talking about Squid Game for at
Mm.
least 3 months. My kids, my daughter's 8, so when that came out, she's I don't know 7 or 6. When did it come out? It was 2 years
It
ago.
Oh,
was
yes.
2021.
2021. So
Yeah.
my daughter was 6.
2021.
My son was 3 and a bit. They did not watch it because, as much as I am a bad parent, there are some things that I realize. Like I get it. Like
Yeah.
you like drink the energy drink, but don't watch Squid Game. But yeah, we didn't watch Squid Game with the kids. It didn't stop them, however, from knowing and identifying and seeing exactly like on Roblox, on their YouTube videos, on whatever things that like this show infiltrated the entire planet except for V's world, including my kids, because my son was 3 at the time, and he sees people in a green tracksuit. He goes, "Is that Squid Game, Dad?" Like like he knows what it was without ever seeing a single episode because it was just so prevalent in culture.
Well, this is a really funny story, but I got into Squid Game because of Roblox. Now, so
Yeah, same as my 3-year-old.
really? So it's a really funny story because during this time, I've convinced a lot of the boys to do Roblox Survivor. It was my way to manipulate them to watch season 41 and to also like play Survivor games with me because during this time, we were still in lockdown.
Yeah.
Right. And so a lot of them weren't working, but I was because I work at a supermarket. So my life stayed perfectly fine while everyone else is turned to shit. But
Thank you for your service. Essential.
thank you. Thank you. And something that I found was that the games were just a lot of fun to play. And I was like, wow, like I would actually love to see how they made this into a drama. And then as I was watching, I was like, oh my gosh, this is much darker than I could ever imagine it to be. Like, and it just kept me intrigued the whole way through. I've got blocked tear ducts, so basically it's very, very hard for me to cry. I only cry.
You're a manly man, Mucky.
I'm a manly man
You
with an eye problem. But
it's called testosterone. It's blocking the ducts.
But
He doesn't cry.
I remember that there was, I think there was like 3 times in the show where I'd be on my way to work and I was just bawling my eyes out, not because my tear ducts eventually unblocked, but because of how great of a job the show did at making you really care for some people. Like even some of like the background characters, like in that Marbles episode, Kahuna, we get introduced to just a random like husband and wife, and only one of them like walks out, right? And it's like that's actually like really dark and really sad.
Spoiler.
Oh, yeah. Spoiler. Whoops, sorry. I mean,
that's going to come up. I'm like,
Hey, here's a spoiler. Only one person wins.
here's a spoiler. It's been out for like 2.5 years, so it should be spoiled by now.
But yeah, it's like I feel like the show does a really good job at making you really care and feel a lot of stuff for all the characters, even some of like the Pink Soldiers as well. But my only issue is that I wonder how they're going to do it with this reality TV show. Are they going to build enough story for us to really emotionally care about the characters? So then if they do get eliminated, we actually feel something for them. Or if it's like $1 Million Island, it's like, oh, we had no idea who they were anyways.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. You can't, as much as we care about the characters in reality TV shows, competition shows, we love our people and we hate some people and blah, blah, blah. And you do sort of connect to them. I don't think the reality competition show can draw as strong a reaction as scripted drama, which is
true
crafted specifically to manipulate a response, right? Once you get to that. And the edit does that as well, but they're working with a material that is a little bit more difficult to get that manipulation or that emotional, arc when it's real people in real life that might not fully, go down the path of getting you to cry and bawl your eyes out, Mucky. So I don't know, like maybe your tear ducts will stay blocked. We'll see.
I think the issue is with reality TV, the stakes just aren't as high as
dying.
Well, yes, and scripted shows, the stakes are carefully curated to elicit that response, which they just can't replicate unless someone could die or is about to be destitute and murdered. You can't. So you're not going to care as much. Having said that, I've still cared about plenty of eliminations in reality shows. I may not have cried, but I've cared.
I'm wondering, as big as a behemoth as Netflix is, with all the money in the world, I wonder if they actually do kill them.
That would be great. I mean, obviously it won't, but but I feel like there'll be such
Mucky.
I mean, like you could. It's so funny because I had applied for this show, and I recall I was talking to my sister Angela at the time, and I was like, "Oh, I've applied for Squid Game. I can't wait to rock up and kill someone." And obviously it's a joke, but she took it very seriously. Like, Mucky, what the hell are you doing applying to Squid Game?
They're gonna kill you, Mucky.
They're gonna kill you. Like, have you seen how you walk? You trip over on flat surfaces. Like, how are you going to survive red light, green light? and I feel like there's a lot of confusion around the internet where, I mean, even at the time when the Korean Squid Game came out, some people questioned if it was real or not.
Yeah, that was weird.
I mean, that was pretty dumb if you actually read that. But I feel like same with this, where it's like obviously they're not going to kill anyone. But I did see an article though. It came out a few months ago where a couple of contestants were very, very angry because they went onto the show. They obviously, got eliminated at some point way through the show. But apparently they treat you and feed you very similar to how the contestants were treated and fed on the Korean drama. So a lot of isolation, really shit food, like really crappy food and whatnot. But I think a lot of contestants went on there expecting it to be like, oh, it's going to be just a fun, happy experience, and we're just going to do the games, and that's really it. Like just a classic 9 to 5, and we're done. But
like Mr. Beast.
Yeah, Yeah. Like the
It's
Mr.
the Mr.
Beast.
Beast version, yeah.
Yeah.
I did hear early on this year when it was filming, there was a lot of reports that it was kind of going south. There was like ambulances called to set. There was injuries. There was all sorts of things. Since then, there's been reports that come out and says that was exaggerated. I think maybe people were kind of trying to blow up the Squid Game aspect of it, that it is kind of a dangerous thing. But apparently, there were some ambulances called to set, but it was for fairly mundane injuries, that you would sustain in a game show like that, and that there was actually British, UK, or some country, I'm not sure, did a actual inquiry into the show to make sure that they weren't mistreated, because it was filmed in the UK. Yeah, so it was the English. They actually looked into the show, and there was nothing going wrong. There was nothing to actually find out. So when it first started, I was like, "Holy crap! This show's like treating people like garbage. There's going to be like people dying for real." I was like, "This is crazy," and then it kind of died down. And turns out it was kind of a bit bullshit in the first place. But
I mean,
the fact that came out, and you're saying that they're treated not the best, like this, the bedroom is exactly the same as the show, and they're staying in there for 15 days, right? Like there's no getting away. I mean, we're used to that with Survivor and shows like that, Big Brother, all that sort of thing, but it is pretty full on with 456 of them all shoved into one room. I mean, that's a lot of BO. That's a lot of snoring. That's a lot of farts. That's a lot of people shoved into one room in very, very close proximity. And I'm wondering if maybe some of the discomfort and people not enjoying the situation is maybe due to something like that. You know what I mean? Not just the games, but the overall environment and situation would be super stressful.
Well, we do see a small bit of this in the Korean show, but some people do feel really comfortable. And we both know someone really well, Kahuna, who's also very comfortable with a large portion of people, to the point where they're even more than happy to allegedly hook up with them, with Mad Dog the Vault. Do we think that that someone will potentially get very lucky during the course of the Squid Game?
I mean, it's 15 days. It's 456 people. Law of averages and odds say there's going to be at least a couple of hookups. We're going to hear that the brown chicken, brown cow for sure.
Do we think that's similar to what's that? The podcast channel? It's not Screen Run. Who are they? The one that came out with all. Is it Screen Run? The one that came out with all the drama about $1 Million Island?
Oh yeah. I forget now. I forget as well. But I know you're talking about.
Yeah, didn't they say that the producers were hooking up with the contestants as well?
Yeah.
Like during the show.
Yeah, I don't think that'll happen. I don't think that'll happen here. I don't know.
I mean, it could happen. Like, hey,
the cultural thing is going to be really fascinating as well, though.
It will be.
Like, as far as hookups and stuff, is that going to be like, I don't know. It's going to be really. I'm just sort of taken aback by V's face at the idea of fornication on.
Oh, this is going to turn into Love Island, but it's going to be like Love Small Room with 456 people. Ugh.
I mean, that sounds like Mucky Saturday Night.
Oh gosh. But anyways, we'll quickly move along. I will not confirm or deny Kahuna's comment. But Mr. Kahuna, obviously Squid Game and all the games are based off like games that the Koreans played when they were kids. What is one game that you played as a kid that you think would make a great adaptation to reality, to Squid Game in general?
You mean like Super Mario Brothers?
Oh.
No. What games did I play? See, I'm significantly older than you, Mucky. So my time in primary school was probably a little bit different to yours. I don't know. Like, I'm not. We just played like Bull Rush and played soccer and basketball and stuff like that. I guess when I was even younger, there was hopscotch and skipping and elastics. Elastics is a thing. Did you do elastics, Mucky? Is that in New Zealand?
did.
In New Zealand, I knew V
Yeah.
would get it.
Yeah.
You know, we did
Elastics.
elastics in school. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe elastics, or what the you know the string one where you would make
Yeah.
shapes out of
Oh
a
yeah.
loop of string. I don't know. We did that. Yo-yos was a phase in the 80s. Marbles was a big phase in the 80s for me. So
Can you
maybe
imagine, like,
marbles.
Can you imagine like a yo-yo, but if the yo-yo, like, if it ever, like, you know, comes too close to you, like to your face, it just blows up.
Oh God.
Yeah, there you go. I was
Yeah.
thinking it was in my head. I'm going. I know where he's going. It's some sort of spinning razor blade. But I like the
Yeah.
explosion. I like the
Yeah.
blow up much better.
How about you, V? Is there any game that you
Oh,
potentially played as a kid that would make a great
yes.
adaptation?
We played this bizarre game that it didn't have a point to it, but you could easily have someone die in it. We called it Plug, where you know the covered, they don't have them as much anymore, the covered slippery dips. Someone
Yeah.
would go down backwards and they'd be the plug and they'd hold on, and you'd have to go down. The next person would go down feet first and hit their feet, and the next person would be their back and hit their back. And eventually the plug would get propelled out just by the sheer force of Catholic schoolgirls ramming themselves down this slippery dip. Someone could bury it. I'm sure people were killed in the day, but that could definitely be some sort of death game. I don't know what the point was. I was always terrified to be the plug, and I never signed up for it because there was a metal section of the plastic slippery dip that would give you a shock every time. So it was really hard to go backwards and get your hands to hold on without touching the metal and getting like a zap. And I was terrified. I was terrified the entire time, actually, and I was too scared to go down backwards.
And being in Australia, I'm sure that like that metal slide under our sun would have just
well, it was the worst of both worlds because you had the plastic slide, which was full of static energy. It was like it could have lit something on fire, how much static energy was in there. And then these metal components that were, about 350 degrees Celsius plus would give you a static electricity shock. So it was terrifying. And I don't know why we played it.
I got the perfect game for Squid Game, especially a global competition. You got Africans, you got Asians, you got all that sort of thing in there. What I grew up playing a lot is driveway cricket, and you can do one-handed catch off the roof. Hitting the bush is out. They field any tree is a fielder. If you hit a window, the game's over. That sort of thing. So I mean, I'm sure that could work.
Yeah, definitely. I'm trying to think. What is a game that's very stereotypical Kiwi that could definitely be in the Squid Game? And I feel like the only one I can think of is, so when you played Bull Rush as a kid, Kahuna, was it just like a tag or was it full on a tackle?
Nah, just tag, pretty much.
Oh, so in New Zealand, because rugby is like
right
number one thing, right? We never tagged, we full on tackled. Like, it wouldn't be like a light tackle, like drag to the ground. It would be you grab the person by the legs, you lift them up and dump them on the ground.
So light, so gentle.
Yeah, very gentle. And maybe you could do that with because it definitely does seem like that there's some kind of team battle, I believe, if I just go back have a look.
Well, there's a battleship. It's actual battleship.
Yeah, it's battleship.
It's literally battleship, like giant battleship.
Yeah.
So that's fascinating because they're doing a Western board game in it. Like, that's really interesting. I wonder if we will get, because there's new games, Battleship being one of them. And I think, is that the only one they showed that's one of the new games?
I believe so. Yeah,
I'm really interested to see, because so much of the game of Squid Games was Squid Game, and the games they played in Squid Game was based on, like you said, South Korean, like that was what they grew up playing. And then we get to see, obviously, the American influence. We get a Western game in Battleship. I wonder if we will get games from other parts of the globe. Like, that'll be fascinating, eh?
Because we do see as well in the main trailer for the show that there is a twist where 2 players, I think, has to be eliminated right then and there, and they have to choose who those players are.
Wow.
But I'm not sure if that's done by like a unanimous vote or if like everyone just like votes who they want out and highest number of votes and second highest number of votes, they get eliminated, or if it is like has to be a unanimous decision. How do you think that would work, Kahuna?
It can't be unanimous. There's 400 something people there. How do you get
True.
everyone to pick the same dude? They're like, hey, we're voting for Jerry. Like, who's Jerry? Like,
If it's not me, that's fine. I vote for Jerry.
so, and then someone goes, yeah, I'm voting for Terry. It's Jerry. Shit. Not unanimous now because Terry got a vote as well. Yeah, I think it would just be majority. Like whoever gets the highest number of votes would make sense. Like a unanimous vote would be, has that ever happened in reality TV show history? Like a unanimous vote?
There was that twist in one of my favorite Survivor seasons of all time, Australian Survivor 2017, where 2 players had to pretty much and the tribe had to unanimously agree that 2 players had to leave a sangha to go to Summertown. They chose Henry and Ben, I think. Right. Yeah, to go, but the whole tribe had to basically agree that those 2 should be the players to go. But
it's 10 people versus.
Yeah, true. It's 10 people. Yeah. It's 10 people. Yeah. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, one of the games. I guess this is kind of a spoiler for V, but it's been announced that it was a game like on the Korean show. It's been labeled as a game, but it's also kind of not a game. But it's called Lights Out, where it was the sequence with the flashing lights and everyone started to kill each other and everyone started like pushing the beds forward so no one could stay and hide. Do you think we could get an event similar to that, Kahuna?
Ooh. Where they just kill each other? I mean, hopefully, right?
Yeah. Or like some
I don't
kind
know,
of like...
because what kind of game would that be where they're just strobing and you do stuff in the dark? I don't know.
Yeah, because I feel like
that. I feel like that's too fraught with danger. Not just like you get 456 people from all different cultures all around the world, and you turn the lights off. Someone's getting freaking groped and sexually abused or something. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, true.
Yeah,
true.
which sucks.
Tripped over.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
And I don't know if that makes a good visual for a reality TV show.
Yeah.
True.
You need to see what's going on and know what's happening, unless, like in the scripted show, it's that I don't know what's going on and it's scary and there's obviously something shocking and horrible going on that I cannot see, and that adds to the emotion of it. I don't know if that translates to a reality show though. They want to have the brightest freaking lights possible, showing every single facial reaction, every single thing. So I don't know if they would want to. And part of the reason why they did it that way in the show is similar to like one of my favorite movies is Kill Bill. There's so much blood in it that they made a section of the show the movie black and white, so you cannot see the color of the blood and all that sort of thing because it's just too violent, wouldn't have passed any of the ratings, etc. Well, I feel like in Squid Game, they did the blackout thing, the lights out thing, in order to not visually see the horrors that were happening.
True.
Which is always scarier that's also a trope that goes around the place. When it's left up to the viewer's imagination,
it's worse.
It's usually worse than what they could show within the ratings that they want to get. So
I'm not.
I don't know how you'd replicate that for funsies. I don't know how.
Well, we talk about potentially hiding how much blood is actually shown for just for the viewers' ratings, but quite famously, one of New Zealand's most famous directors, Peter Jackson, right before he made the Lord of the Rings trilogy, Peter Jackson's King Kong, and got quite famous, he made a lot of indie films, and I studied one of.
Brain Dead? Are you talking about Brain Dead?
It might be Brain Dead, or it might be
Is it-
another one. It's another zombie one, but basically there is a scene where there's a lot of zombies like in this house, in this mansion, and this guy goes around with a lawnmower.
Lawnmower. It's Brain Dead.
Yeah, yeah, it's Brain Dead. Yeah. I just studied it, and I believe it might be more, but I believe it's somewhere around 18 full gallons of blood was used in that one scene, just that one singular scene.
Yeah, he wields a lawnmower. Oh,
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, I know.
great movie. The fact that
Fantastic
Peter
movie.
Jackson went from that to Lord of the Rings is the biggest
nuts.
like glow up in entertainment history, I think, man.
Straight up. But what I was going to say, yeah. So it does. Oh, we do have an episode title called War, which I mean that might be the Battleship one. Trick or Treat. There might be like a Halloween type challenge, which could be quite exciting. But I feel like majority of the games are going to be potentially based off something that we may have seen before. I reckon, but maybe they're just slightly changed to fit
Yeah,
the
like
Squid Game.
with Battleship.
Hmm.
Yeah.
By the way, I just realized I totally tweaked, and you saw me grab my phone there. You're right. It's not Brain Dead. It was Bad Taste.
Oh, it's Bad Taste.
Bad Taste.
Okay.
Yep.
Bad Taste. Okay, great movie. I highly recommend checking it out. My directing tutor, is an extra in that film. He's at the graveyard scene, Kahuna.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
and he randomly gets eaten alive. It's great. It's like the best 5 seconds of footage you'll ever see.
It's a really good D grade horror, gory bloodfest kind of thing. It's fun.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I guess Kahuna, something that we got to see with the Squid Game show is a lot of we had some players towards the end game. I guess similar to $1 Million Island when you think about it, with our Mad Dog Geordie, where we had some players towards the end really come out on top strategically and sort of be that dominant force towards the end of the game. Do we think that I won't say any characters' names so then V doesn't get spoiled, but I'm pretty sure you know exactly who I'm talking about, Kahuna. Do we think we could get a character like that?
I honestly don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, hang on. I'll send you.
Hey V, go like this. La 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 la.
It doesn't work. I've got headphones in.
Hang on. Let me quickly find
Just
your.
makes you louder.
You get the spoiler really clearly.
You hold it up to the screen, and I'll shut my eyes.
All right.
I don't think.
I
to be
actually.
honest with you, I don't want to sound
hold it
racist,
up.
but a lot of the names really aren't going to sync in with me. All the Korean names sound the same to me.
Okay, right. V, close your eyes.
All right.
I'm gonna screen share my screen. So then
It's
Kahuna knows
complicated.
exactly.
This must
so
be
complicated.
fascinating to watch.
All right. I'll let you know when you can open your eyes again, V. Boom, boom, boom. It's this character here.
Oh right, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Okay, I've stopped sharing my screen.
Okay.
Spoiler.
Spoiler!
Ah!
Spoiler!
It's been 2.5 years.
But Bakuna, do you think we could get a contestant like that, someone who really puts strategy above, personal relationships, above everything else, just to reach the end and potentially win? Do you think we could get someone like that?
I certainly hope so, and yeah, I think you would, because again, 456 people, you're just increasing your chances of getting these type of players. You're increasing your chances of getting every type of player, right? So across the board, you're just giving yourself more chances and more draws to be able to find a really good character. You're also giving yourself more chances to get bad characters that aren't worth screen time.
Yeah.
But at least you're giving yourself more opportunities when you have a cast that massive. So I'm assuming with that many people applying, and again, like, we know how many people will apply for a season of Survivor, whatever show it is. Imagine a global sensation like Squid Game that really did take over the planet. As much as we in the reality TV world where Survivor is the big dog, and we know people will love Survivor, apply for Survivor. It's still very isolated. Like, we're in Australia, New Zealand, we'll still watch the US version, and people
Yeah.
from around the world will watch it, but nothing compared to who would have applied and how many people would have applied for a show like Squid Game. Netflix is global. It's got subtitles, it's got dubbing, it's got everything, and people all around the like, we watched it when it's a Korean show. We're talking about a Korean show, and we loved it, right? So everyone around the world loved this show. That means everyone around is going to apply for this show. I'm hoping that if you have that many people, some of them are going to be good strategic players, because you're not only getting the people that loved the TV show, you're getting the people that love reality show. You're getting people that, you're kind of getting the whole gamut. And I think part of that gamut will be some very, very strategic and good players, I hope.
Well, something that I've definitely seen throughout my time of covering all the Trader seasons is that, they did this with Traders New Zealand. They did this with Traders Canada, probably most famously, where they had some, like, half the cast was basically reality TV stars. You had your Big Brother winners like Kevin. Have you seen Big Brother Canada? Kahuna?
No.
Oh, so basically you had a couple, like, Big Brother winners, reality, like drag queens.
No,
like
Erica was
stars
on it, right?
And Erica, Survivor winner was on it. And Traders New Zealand, we had pretty much famous people across all professions, like poker players, for example. There was a sidekick, but I mean, the sidekick was kind of a meme. Let's be real, but and even
Famous people.
Yeah, and even in Traders Australia, you had people like Luke, for example, who was on it. You had like actors and whatnot on the show as well. So, do you think when it's the first season of reality TV Squid Game, because who knows, maybe they might do another one depending on how it goes. Do you think you put in
famous
well-known for famous people? Because you could look at it like, well, we put someone like George in, for example, right? George could somehow bring an element of strategy to this that we may never even think of, right? So
yeah.
So even though George could get knocked out early, he might bring in, strategy, like, just to really intensify the show a bit.
If they do put famous people in there, I don't think it'll be anyone that we would know.
No.
Like, I think there may be someone that could come from some European country that is famous in Moldova, and no one around the world knows who they are. So I think, like, there could be people there that are famous in their bubble. Outside of that, I think the most we would get as far as the fame scale goes would be maybe like influencers and stuff.
Yeah.
Like people they'd want to be able to promote on their social medias and all that sort of thing. They may have taken a couple. When you've got 456 places, you're going to grab a few of them that might actually help promote the show as well. But I feel, and I'm basing this on nothing, I feel like generally they might want to keep the average Joe kind of feel to it, because that's what the scripted show was. It was people down on their luck. I don't think it will be that whole, I'm desperate for money to the point where I would die, or their life is so bad that they'll take that risk. I don't think it's that. I hope they're not like freaking poverty trolling, like getting desperate people, that sort of thing. I really hope it's not that. But I think you have that sort of potential there for sure.
Yeah. So V, do you think that if like the show reality TV Squid Game does really well, do you think that they could potentially make another Squid Game?
Like a season 2 of the
Like a season
scripted?
2, yeah. Oh,
the real show's got a season 2.
Yeah, so the scripted show is getting a season 2 next year.
Oh, yeah.
But the reality TV show, do we think that as a reality TV show, it could potentially produce a second or a third season and maybe even an All Stars or something at some point down the road?
Well, with
do you
Netflix,
think that could happen?
With Netflix, the sky's the limit. And, I don't want to disparage Netflix, but the streamers aren't really well known for treating their writers terribly well at the moment. So it's a non-written, non-scripted show. The sky's the limit, you know. Just keep churning them out. As long as they're getting thousands upon thousands of people applying, so you can get 456 good ones. Why not? It's once they've got that set, they're done, right? That's it, you know.
True.
Yeah,
I think it could
and
potentially
pay
like
people pittance
or nothing. Yeah, pretty much.
Like
Yeah,
the appearance fee would be nothing. It'd be they just have, and $4 million for Netflix as prize money is probably change they found in the sofa.
Yeah,
probably.
Well, depending for how long, right? Like Netflix is kind of not like they're still a behemoth. They're one of the biggest companies in the world, but all reports say that the other ones are catching, and that eventually some of these streamers are going to have to condense. Like we've seen in the last couple of years, Netflix has started canceling shows, which before they would never even dream of canceling any show. They would just run them into the ground because they needed the content. But they're now being a little bit more picky, I guess. So I think it could be like Squid Game took over. Yeah, absolutely. Squid Game took over the world. I'm curious about the timing of it because it's too far from the last one, and it's also before the next season. So it's like, is Squid Game on people's consciousness and mind right now that they would all tune in and binge it as soon as it drops? Because the weird thing is, and I think this is one of the funny things about a lot of the actually all the reality shows that we do on TNT are network shows. So when we have network shows, we get trailers, we get cast bios, we get preview stuff, we get all this information. But when it's Netflix and they're like, we're just going to dump it on the channel, we've made 2 trailers and that's all. You know nothing else about this show until it dumps, and then you can watch it or not. But they're not really doing the build up and the hype and getting people excited because it's next week. Like it's very soon, and we're still not seeing too much about it. When 2 years ago, you couldn't go anywhere without hearing about Squid Game. It was literally everywhere. And I'm wondering if they waited too long from the first one, or maybe they should have waited till the second season, or have them closer together. I'm not sure, but I mean, I am curious about how because we live in a world where people forget very quickly. And is the reality version of what was an amazing scripted show enough to get people back in the same volume or the same number as a scripted show had? I don't know. Like, obviously, it's not going to be the same because there's a lot of people that are automatically predispositioned to not like reality shows, right? They'll watch a scripted show because it's higher class or whatever. I don't know. It's more highbrow, and reality show is seen as kind of at the bottom of the pecking order when it comes to TV shows. So it won't have the automatic inbuilt audience, but I'm hoping that there's enough to keep it going because I do think it looks pretty epic, and I'm excited to see what it is. Yeah,
I think you talk about timing, and there's such an interesting thing because I'll admit, Squid Game was the #1 show like when it first came out. I think it was end of September, start of October. Well, I saw it in October, and it was like that all the way through to the start of 2022. Like, I'd even argue like February or March, it was still like #1 on our Netflix in New Zealand during that time. I think maybe if they'd done the show a bit sooner, maybe end of 2022 or something, people might have been a bit Squid Gamed out, right? Where it's like, we've seen all the TikTok reels, we've seen all the fan edits of our queen Sabiot, because let's be real, she's amazing, and and of all the characters, we've heard all the different like deep dives and like theories about the show. Like, I just got to keep pumping, like just keep like force feeding us Squid Game content. So I think it might be good. That's
what they should do, right? If you have the momentum, just freaking run it into the ground, churn it out until people are sick of it, right?
I think it was a missed
season 2, are you going to play
opportunity.
again? Are you going to play again, Mucky, season 2?
Oh, I will. I was telling V, one of my favorite games of all time, Kahuna, is Crab Game. Have you heard of Crab Game?
I believe I have, but now
I
know the name.
Yeah, it's a piss take version of Squid Game.
Okay,
basically.
I think I know the name because you've told me.
Yeah, it is one of But I will admit, do not let your kids play it because it is open mic, so you can say whatever you want to strangers online. You know, there's no swearing limit or anything like that. Like, it's quite funny because there is like a chat, but the creator of the game, he made a game called Muck, right? Which obviously my name is Mucky. It's not about me or anything. It's just a random like Minecraft piss take. But every time you're type in a swear word or like curse word or something into the typing chat, it would just replace it with muck. So like a lot of times I just keep seeing just muck, 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 and I think they're like trying to say something to me, but now it's just them just typing like a bunch of curse words because that's so mad. But something I love doing in that game, which I was telling V, and all the boys say love me and hate me for this, but I just got on a massive killing rampage. Like there's a game called Death from Above, which is there's like massive blocks falling from above you, but only small spaces that you can fit into to kind of avoid the blocks. What I would do is that I would see something. Let's say you, Kahuna, right? Let's say I identify you as a threat to potentially kill me or win this round or game, right? I would just start punching and pushing you out of that small space. So,
Right.
And the more you try to come in, the more I keep pushing you further and further away. So then when the blocks drop, you die, right? There's even a game mode called Tag, which is probably one of my personal favorites, where you have the taggers have the stick, but it's got extreme knockback on it. So you can send someone flying out of the map and they'll just automatically die. Just, just like that.
We're hoping to see that.
Yeah.
We'll see that in the real one. V, would you go on Squid Game?
No, it looks scary. No,
I'm going to apply for season 2. You know what I'm going to do, Mucky?
Yeah.
I'm going to apply as one of the billionaires that bets on them.
Yes.
Are you going to place any money bets on me?
With a mask and just watch them.
If you saw me in the pool of Squid Game contestants, would you bet your millions of dollars on me?
To win the whole thing?
Yeah, to win the whole thing. How about to go really far?
I think you go far-ish because you're 6'4" or something. Like,
yeah, I'm 6'4".
There are a lot of people in the world that you will physically dominate, so you could certainly go far enough.
Yeah.
You're not winning, mate. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't have to go far back, but you told in this episode that falling down and things like that. You may be a little bit unco for some of the stuff that happens in a Squid Game, but you could easily do a tug of war, battleship. There's no advantages there, and I don't know.
I reckon
think you do
for the
okay.
glass.
You seem to definitely be keen for that sort of thing. I just don't know how. I've not seen your physical prowess, your athletic ability.
I reckon, like, I've been thinking about this for a while. Like, it would obviously depend how far apart the glass tiles are. But I reckon something I can do. So I would be at the front, but I'll sort of just lie down on it and see if I can put as much weight on it as possible to see if it will hold someone's weight or not. And just sort of just
if I was on that, to be honest with you, I'd probably walk on the safe one and still break it.
Yeah. Knowing me, I would like walk on it, but then slip off.
You fall off the edge.
Oh shit!
Trip over.
Yeah,
that was a freebie.
The only good one I'd be, the only one I'd be good at is tug of war. Just plant myself. The lean back thing. I'm taking up at least 4 Koreans with just my weight alone.
I'm not sure if there is a game that's tailored to me because I'm quite clumsy. I've got giant hands, like look at my hands, so I can't do the biscuit one with the needle. Like even just cutting paper or trying to peel stickers off, I struggle with because my hands are too big.
Mucky would absolutely excel at the light game, right? Lights out.
Oh, because I'm just punching around like a maniac.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. No, but is there anything else that either of you would like to bring up about this reality TV Squid Game? Any like predictions or theories or hopes?
I
Anything
hope it's
about the
good.
show?
I hope it's as good as the trailer
Mm,
because
The
that's a good
trailer,
trailer.
the trailer looks great. And you said in episode 1 they've just arrived, so you haven't seen any of the sets yet, have you?
The bedroom, if that's what
The
you call
bedroom,
it.
okay.
Yeah.
Some of the games, like I said it before, but they
And what I've
nailed
seen
it.
in pop culture around, like I've
Yeah,
seen
yeah,
like the classic scenes
yeah.
everywhere, you know.
Well, yeah, the big
I haven't
doll,
been living under a rock. So
the red light, green
yeah.
light.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm so excited to see the transition, how they can make again a very dark, serious scripted show into what would probably, I'm assuming, like I don't think there's a lot of reality competition
mm,
shows that they want to go down the dark. Like, oh, that was really heavy, that show, man. I
yeah,
don't like where it takes a toll on you emotionally. I don't know if that's
yeah,
part of the reality TV show, you know, uh motto
experience.
there, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
so I think they want to keep it a little bit more lighthearted. And does that mean it's not going to be quite as good? I don't know.
mm,
They're really just going off of the games, right? Like it's a
yeah,
game show. Squid Game, as much as the games were a big part of it because, you know, it's literally Squid Game and that was the goal and they win the money and all that and the sets and the made it look epic. But like I said before, the original Squid Game, the end game, was a little bit hard to translate to visually on TV and so like
yeah,
if you grew up playing with it, it's probably playing it's very different. So I am interested to see how they kind of keep it Squid Game while not being a dark dystopian future thing. Like how do they make it still Squid Game but keep it fun and lighthearted that people actually enjoy and watch? Because some of those games, when you're not falling to your death, which makes it scary, kind of have a bit of a it's a knockout wipeout feel to it.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like it could kind of go the other way and then be a bit too clownish. Like it's red light,
yeah,
green light,
Mm.
right?
yeah,
Like we're talking red light, green light. That's not a game like a game you play on the playground. That's not a reality TV show epic type of thing. But when it means that you get shot by a giant robot, it makes it a much more visually
yeah,
appealing thing on on a TV show. You know what I mean? So I am really fascinated to see the compare and contrast. What do they do
yeah,
with something that is a very cool concept but has dark undertones and the reason for it's dark and all that sort of thing, and they want to make it a family friendly, fun show? Is
mm,
that going to take away from it, or is it going to keep the essence of what made it cool?
yeah. My biggest hope is that because obviously 6 out of the 10 episodes are going to be the challenges we've seen already on the Korean drama. I just hope that the other 4 challenges are sort of what you mentioned earlier, Kahuna, are like childhood based games, but from different parts of the world. So maybe there's a childhood based game like in Asia and Europe, America, Russia, or even like Australia, New Zealand. Because I think that was definitely a big part of what drew people in. It's like, here's like a cool game that's very similar to something we've all played as kids. But if you
But
stuff
you
up,
die.
bam, you die, right?
Yeah,
And so,
yeah,
yeah, and obviously the characters in the show are fantastic as well. I love every single one of them. The actors did a phenomenal job with them,
yeah.
which just adds to it. But
See
definitely a lot of
sorry, that's what I was trying to say before, and I forgot my point. Is that is the show going to be as good? Because so much of the original Squid Game, as much as it was based on games, what made it so appealing, so great was the drama, right? Was
yeah,
the acting, was the story, was the backstories, all that sort of thing.
mm,
So when you do it as a reality show and the primary focus becomes not necessarily the characters and the story because there's no drama to it, but it becomes the actual games itself,
yeah,
will that keep us as intrigued because we've got 1,000 shows where they play games? So
yeah,
Mhm.
what's gonna make it different is what I'm really fascinated to see. I'm not saying that it won't. I'm not
yeah,
casting any um, judgments I'm open to see what it does, but I'm interested to see how they walk that balance.
yeah, absolutely. How about you, V? Any last thoughts or or hopes.
Yeah,
You
well,
know,
I think that the risk is that it's the gimmick of the sets, and that's the only substance to it is the fact that it looks, you know, and it's the same games. But the trailer looked dope as hell. Like that looked so good. So if it lives up to that trailer, it's going to be a fantastic show.
yeah. No, absolutely. I think if it even lives up to anywhere close to what the scripted drama was, it might even be potentially one of the best reality shows out there. You know, you've got 456 people from all around the world, different personalities, you know, different mindsets and thoughts. Hopefully we get some really great drama and some squid action. Whoa! Some inky squid action. Yeah. I would love if someone went on there and it's like, so when's the octopus game?
I don't know what I signed up for.
But
it was like me with the show. I was like, Squid Game, sure, yeah, I'll watch that. I don't know. And then I realized it's not in English, bro.
It can be.
I can't look at my phone while watching it.
That's one of the worst things about our modern. Like, I'm the same. I'm like, I gotta pay attention to this and not like listen to it in the background.
I've been eating so much food in that first 37 minutes because I have to do something with my hands while watching the show. I was just chips. So
BP takes up knitting.
I'm gonna have diabetes by the end of it.
Jumper.
Yeah. Oh my gosh! See the state I'm in next week.
Yes. Unfortunately,
I sugared out.
I'll be sugared out too with this lovely, beautiful chocolate milk. You know, we're talking about the other podcast about different chocolate milks. Puhoi Valleys are my number ones.
What is?
And I haven't seen that in Australia. Sorry.
Yeah, what brand was it?
It's Puhoi Valley.
Puhoi.
So
they made a brand of chocolate milk and put the word poo in it.
Well, I mean, I will admit, earlier this year there was like a bunch of.
The pulsating dot is funnier though, Kahuna. It's funny. It's just like, oh god.
It actually worked well as a punchline after the poo line, isn't it?
Earlier this year, there was 4 1.5 liter bottles that were going to expire like that day or by the next morning, and all my friends joked like, "Oh, Michael, you should drink it," but you know, I kind of have to at that point if everyone's like, tell me I should. So I bought all 4 of them. They looked like $1 each, and I drank. I believe it was like 4.5 to 5 liters.
That's easy.
Of chocolate milk straight.
How did you not shit your pants?
Expiry date.
Well, that's the thing. I've discovered a new best friend in my life, and his name is the Plunger. And
oh my god!
The excessive dairy product said bye-bye to me the second I turned 30.
I thought he was going to say Imodium.
Anyways, that brings us to the end of the show tonight. If you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button and leave us a comment on what you are expecting to see with reality TV Squid Game.
That's how we're going to go out, Mucky, on the diarrhea jokes. That's the end of the show. Okay,
it's the Mucky take, all right? Like we're meant to go out on the weirdest way possible, right?
Careful of your dairy intake.
Squid Game.
Squid Game. But yeah, smash the like button, smash the subscribe button, and we will be doing a post-season review of reality TV Squid Game. It comes out Tuesday, the 22nd of November. I believe all 10 episodes will be dropping at the same time, so you can watch it in a binge or watch it however you're pleased to do so. But until then, have a lovely night, everyone, and we'll see you next time. Bye!